Hi there, this is Lee, and with this video, I'm talking about Jill Stein and the tour that she's taking throughout the flyover country, the Midwest. She's been in Michigan, she's been in Ohio, she's been in North Dakota, Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri. This interview she did with St. Louis Public Radio, and it's titled, the write-up of the interview is Stein Renews Pitch to Get on Stage During the Presidential Debates. And so she does see that as a path to victory, or to at least get attention to key issues. And so she's saying that it's basically for candidates who would get into the debates based on ballot access to at least 270 electoral votes. That's her, Jill Stein, Gary Johnson, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump. And so she was in St. Louis to promote green issues of the Green Party and to raise money for local Green Party groups who will be getting out the vote this November. And so she's one of 5 presidential hopefuls on Missouri's ballot. So there is ballot access for the Green Party in Missouri. And there's 14 down ballot candidates in Missouri that she's also interested in seeing going into office. Missouri St. Louis City Treasurer, that's Jerome Bauer. Missouri Jackson County Executive, that's Stacy Lindgren. Missouri Statewide Governor, that's Don Fitz. Lieutenant Governor, that's Jennifer Leach. Missouri State Representative District 19, that's Valerie Ingram. Missouri State Representative District 80, that's Teresa Ezel. Missouri State Representative District 105, that's Tim Hammock. Missouri State Representative District 109, Ellen Skilgen. Missouri State Representative District 140, that's Dr. Robert DeBout. Missouri State Senator District 3, Ed Weisler. Missouri Statewide State Treasurer Carol Hexum. Missouri Federal U.S. Representative District 2, that's David Arnold. Missouri Federal U.S. Representative District 6, that's Mike Deal. And Missouri Federal U.S. Senator Jonathan McFarland. So, again, the Green Party does have down ballot candidates. There are currently Greens serving in office at the local level, city council, neighborhood council, plenty of commissioners, and then also Greens who are in the state assemblies of their various states, and this is all across the country. There's approximately 137 Greens holding office at the city, state, and local level across the United States, and approximately 250 that are attempting to go into office this year, this November. They are on the ballot in various states, about 16 or 17 states, you'll find them. And Missouri has 14 out of that 250. There's quite a few in California, Texas, Michigan, New York, and I think Maine and Connecticut. I think that's the spread, and then scattered here and there too. And so Jill Stein is very busy. She's creating a tailwind for these Greens to even go further up in office at the down ballot level, from the city council level to the mayoral level, although there's been mayors who are green. There's someone on the ballot in West Virginia. Her name is Charlotte Pritt. She's with the Green Mountain Party. And so it's catching on. And definitely there's plenty of down ballot candidates. And I've heard comparisons to the Libertarian Party where people are saying, well, the Libertarians are doing better, and why aren't the Greens like? And to tell the truth, the Libertarians have been in existence since the 70s. The Greens, so they've got the advantage of more years in the system. Green Party started in like 1984. The Libertarian Party has approximately 143 candidates holding office now, and the Greens are right behind them with about 137. So the Greens are, right on time, right where they need to be for a party battling for access, ballot access, debate access, uh, voter access, media airwave access. They're in a battle and they're winning. And Jill Stein is a large part of that this year. So back to the interview, she's saying that many polls indicate that a lot of people are not pleased with either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. They are the most unfavorable and untrusted major party candidates in decades. I mean, in general, people do not trust politicians, but this is at a level, the mistrust and suspicion and dislike of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are so severe, so deeply seated that it's just repulsed this entire nation. And that's why there's such a clamoring for both Gary Johnson and Jill Stein in the debates. Jill Stein is saying that the economy is rigged, the political system is rigged, and they're not happy with the two choices. And it's not conspiracy theory. The treatment of Bernie Sanders by the Democratic Party and the media, and the way that even members of the Democratic Party did not play fair with him and had control over the media, all this was revealed to us this year. And the fact that people stepped down rather than attempt to brand Julian Assange as a slanderer, they said, well, we'll step down, meaning that it must have been true. They didn't try to fight these charges, and there was no charge to fight. He just showed us the emails of what was happening behind the scenes, and they stepped down. So people have concluded, well, it must have been true. There was no defense of it. There was no possible defense. And so Jill Stein is not way out of left field or, with some wacky conspiracy theories. The system is rigged, and we've been shown that. And so she's entirely right. And so most people have noticed also that her polling has rolled backwards. Whereas before the Green Party National Convention, she was polling at maybe 7% and 9% in some areas. At this point, she's been as low as 2% in some areas. And how can that be? Where she had a Green Party National Convention, she's actually had media access, she's been traveling around campaigning, and her name has been in the news, and she's fundraising, she's gotten ballot access. So on the ground, the word is spreading about the Green Party, yet with the media polling, it seems to be rolling backwards, and that's almost a type of rigging as well. Let's see. So she's still definitely a supporter of Bernie Sanders supporters. She's recruiting, and the fact that the Green Party platform is so similar to what Bernie Sanders also traveled around the country promoting is helping. Bernie Sanders legitimized the progressive platform. He was a voice for the disaffected and the disenfranchised and people who had been failed by the economic system. Usually these people had been dismissed and looked upon with contempt by the Democratic Party. And in some respects, by Hillary Clinton, they still are. But Bernie Sanders provided a voice, and he traveled around and highlighted these issues, and people realized that it wasn't just them in their communities that a lot of people were hurting. From West Virginia, populous mountain regions, to the south, southern states, to even some regions of California where not everyone's living in Beverly Hills. Some are living in real blue collar settings, locked out of the economic system, dealing with immigration issues or the lack of jobs or the criminal justice system. And then he also traveled to native reservations where he spoke to tribes people and found that, yes, there's issues here too. And that a lot of what divided us was superficial, race and culture, superficial. There was more that united us, just a feeling that we're all struggling economically, and that the education system is failing us, healthcare, jobs, things like this. And so between Bernie Sanders and Jill Stein, the word is getting out. Bernie Sanders is the man on the inside in Washington, and Jill Stein is actually in the field doing the field work. So Jill Stein has her plan to end college debt. She's saying if we can bail out the banks, we can bail out our students. And many people have lectured her on this, like, well, they shouldn't have, gotten those loans. It's their fault. Who cares? And Jill Stein is saying, again, if we bail out the banks, we can bail out the students. And the students accepted that debt because there had been promises made that there would be jobs waiting on the other end, on the other side of their college education, and those jobs weren't there. And so she's saying that no society has ever survived by devouring its own young. And this is true. No society survives by devouring its own young. And not any species actually in nature can survive by devouring its own young. It's abnormal. It's obscene. It's against the natural order of all things to devour one's young. And there's no jobs, she's saying. There's this high cost of education. There's this debt slavery, high cost of housing, people who are locked out of the economic future because there's no jobs waiting, no opportunities. And so she's proposing the JOBS program, which centers on expanding clean energy, including wind and power. And I'm going to say on this is basically the Green New Deal, which is based on Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal, which has been shown to work, to have worked, and we're still benefiting from the work that was put in by Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal. That New Deal was able to redistribute wealth through jobs and disseminate it and decentralize that wealth amongst a lot of people. Through the jobs program, people were able to buy homes, go to school, use the GI Bill, and things like that to get ahead. And that was the greatest generation, who then left that wealth or passed it on, paid it forward to the baby boomer generation. And so now it's the baby boomers generation to pay it forward, and there seems like a reluctance to do so. They want to hold on to that wealth. And this is what is sending our economy to crumbling all around us, this refusal to pay it forward. And so this New Deal, it reminds me of the black snake that has been in the news lately, the oil pipeline that's going to be slated to cross through North Dakota, through Iowa, and through Illinois. And actually, Iowa is second only to Texas in wind energy. There's windmills on farmland throughout the state of Iowa. They're beautiful behemoths to behold. You have the grain silos, you have those huge red barns, you have the telephone poles, and then you have these windmills that have become part of the landscape now, the infrastructure. And you look at that and you say, well, why did Terry Branstad provide eminent domain access to all this farmland for an oil pipeline when Iowa is in the midst of a clean energy path towards wind? They're second only to Texas. And you wonder, like, what was going through his head? I know we all like money, right? But there was another path already established, and he chose to go back into the past rather than continue forward towards the future. Iowa also has a biodiesel program where it uses corn to manufacture ethanol or something like that. And so there's different paths towards energy, and Terry Branstad sent Iowa into the past. And so the Iowa farmers have responded by doing their own protest of the black snake. It's not just Sioux Nation. It's Iowa farmers who have their own lawyer, who are trying to prevent building of the black snake through Iowa farmland because of the contamination. And they keep saying, well, it's not going to contaminate, it's safe. And in that case, then why didn't the oil pipeline go through Bismarck? Because it's not safe. And so they sent it through Indian country rather than the capital city of North Dakota. So anyway, of course, the Green Party opposes construction of the major pipelines. And I'm hoping that Sierra Club and Earth First and or the organizations that migrated towards Hillary Clinton, are they anywhere in the vicinity of this, or are they so tied to Hillary Clinton that they can't even comment? And I wonder about that. And so, of course, Jill Stein and Ajamu Baraka were protesting that pipeline along the lines of her protesting the Keystone XL pipeline and the mortgage foreclosures and getting arrested for trying to get debate access in order to speak on the national stage about these issues. This is par for the course in Jill Stein's overall package that she brings to the Green Party. This is what she's about, and this is what she does. So she is now facing arrest from North Dakota County, Morton County, I believe, because she spray painted a piece of construction equipment. And I think it's also mischief and trespassing are what the two misdemeanors are. And what I find very interesting is the fact that the warrant for arrest was issued for Jill Stein, but there was no warrant for anyone involved with the events that occurred over Labor Day weekend. There had been a court order to halt construction at that site, and there had been barricades set up to halt construction at that site until the next hearing. That was the court order. And it turns out the pipeline company hired a security firm, and then the pipeline company and the security firm went to location contrary to that court order, put aside the barricades, and they began to bulldoze sacred ground where ancient members of the Sioux had been buried. The site was considered sacred. And so then after that, of course, the Sioux tribe protested, and the security firm, who was already on site waiting for them, used pepper spray and attack dogs, to assault them. The dogs bit the protectors of that site, and then the dogs turned on their own handlers and bit their handlers. That's how crazed they were. And then the dogs also bit the horses. So the dogs were out of control. The handlers couldn't handle them. They were not professional. These were not working dogs or service dogs. They were not police dogs. These were vicious attack dogs that did not obey orders and that actually turned on their own owners. A working dog or a service dog, if they do not come when called, if they do not obey orders, then they are no longer a working dog or a service dog. They are taken out of service. And so that's not what this was. This was a mercenary group with attack dogs. So, and they weren't supposed to be there. They were trespassing. The oil pipeline company were trespassing because they violated the court order and set aside the barricades and went ahead to begin construction when they weren't supposed to. The security firm who were hired by that pipeline, they were also trespassing. The security firm were protecting the oil pipeline who violated sacred ground that was recognized by the court. The Sioux had told the court that this was sacred ground. So that's trespassing, violating a sacred ground, and then assault with the pepper spray and the dogs, cruelty to animals. We saw all this on Amy Goodman's Democracy Now! Tape, where they assaulted the the protectors, and then they were cruel to the animals, and then they just fled. And we don't know if those dogs are rabid or anything. And so, not one arrest. And I find it very interesting that the arrest warrant was issued for Jill Stein for her behavior, but not one arrest was issued to the security firm or the pipeline builders. They were also committing crimes. In fact, they committed more crimes than Jill Stein. So it's interesting. People talk about states' rights all the time, but then Barack Obama had to weigh in, like, can you please just be decent about this? Halt the construction, 20-mile radius. And then now people are watching, but I think North Dakota, there's a problem with the law enforcement in this area. They're picking and choosing which laws that they will enforce and what crimes that they will recognize. The sheriff keeps saying, well, he wasn't on the ground when the dogs attacked the protesters or the protectors, but neither was he on the ground when Jill Stein tagged that equipment. So, in one scenario, he wasn't there, so he couldn't do anything. But in the other scenario, he still wasn't there, but he did issue the arrest warrant. So there's a disparity in treatment here. And we all see it because it's all on video. And we can see that there's an issue with the law enforcement, the sheriff, and the false narrative that he attempted to put out in the media, which is contradicted by the video. And I'm hearing that there's actually a warrant out for Amy Goodman now and her cameraman for trespassing. And again, the selective law enforcement, which is motivated by what? If this is a crime, then all of these are crimes as well. We have trespassing over here, but we have violence and assault and direct violation of a court order to halt construction, and then also desecration of a holy site, a sacred ground. And so, there's an issue here that I do feel needs to be addressed. At the state level, the state, people of North Dakota, can you do something to regulate what's happening in your state? And that way the federal government doesn't have to. And that's, how we work with states' rights. We take care of our state, and when we don't, the federal government steps in. And so, Jill Stein is saying, she is, I'm glad that the president, said something. The Obama administration, they announced that they were going to put a hold on the pipeline's construction while they addressed complaints from the Native American tribes, and that the route destroys the sacred land. But she's saying that the oil industry is likely going to put pressure on the Obama administration and possibly force them to back off. So she's saying it's not over. And she's also saying that Americans don't have to go quietly into a dark night that's coming, that's sending jobs overseas, that's depressing wages, making healthcare unaffordable, it's locking this entire generation into unpayable student loan debt, and keeping all of us mired in military interventions and wars and regime changes that are making us less secure, not more secure. The world is a more dangerous place nowadays than it was in 2001 and 2002. Our policies have failed. Our foreign policies have made us less safe, not more safe. And then also the pressure exerted by the fossil fuel industry to keep us locked in the past. She says we have to address these things. We're at a crucial turning point. And this is illustrated for me by Governor Terry Branstad's decision. He could have gone forward into the future with Iowa's wind industry, joining Texas, joining Germany, joining Japan in generating more wind clean energy than almost any state in the United States. Instead, he chose to turn Iowa back to the past. So, it's a microcosm for what's happening at the national level. We have the tools. We have the scientific knowledge. We have the manpower. We even have the funds. But it's how these funds are directed, how this people power is directed, how the scientific knowledge, rather than being directed towards clean energy, it's being directed to weapons manufacturing, all of these resources. And so there has to be a better way. And I hope that Jill Stein continues to spread her message, even despite the obstacles that she faces. She's gotten more help. She spread the word. She's got down ballot candidates that are assisting her spreading the message, that are ready and willing to go into office to serve alongside her and the members of Congress, and then also at the state level. And so the movement is going forward. It's in our hands, just like Jill Stein said.